You're all warmly welcome to my channel. I'm always happy to know that you're always making our time to visit my channel on a regular basis like this. Still on probability, we have another question. This time, this question will be dealing on a coin. You know, we all know coin. Okay. Now, when we ask a question on that probability that deals with a coin, first thing we need to identify is that we need to first know how many sides that a coin actually has. Then a coin actually has it's either it has a face, it has a head, or a tail. So if faces are what we call them in mathematics head or what or tail. Okay, when you see a coin, one side is what is the head, while the other side is what is the tail. And these are sometimes referred to as what as the faces. So the face of the coin in mathematics, especially under probability, they are referred to as what the head and a tail. Okay. Now, how do we answer question relating to that in mathematics? We have a very good question that we'll be dealing with in this video that will enable us to see how we can actually do that. Now, the question said that a coin is tossed 3 times. You can see 3 times actually highlighted. 3 times. So find the probability of getting 2 tails and 1 head. All heads. C, at least 1 tail. D, first 2 tails and the third head. And then E, all tails. So what is the first thing we are supposed to do here? We are going to first bring out this information. Once you hear the word a coin is tossed, if it is once, we know it's either going to be what? Head or tail. Okay, when you throw a coin up like this, by the time it's land, it's going to be either what? A head or a tail. Okay, now what happens when it is now what? Tossed up to like 2 times or 3 times? How do we solve that? Like in this case, like I said, it's tossed 3 times. So what is expected of us? Please watch this video to the end and see how you can actually answer this question. In fact, I must tell you, this is actually one of the simplest questions under what? Under probability. Question relating to what? To coins like this. You agree with me at the end of this video. Now let's do this together now. So first you write solution. So since the coin is tossed 3 times, remember what I just said now. When you roll, it's going to get either head or a tail. So get what? Either head. The first one you get head or what? Or tail. Okay, this is the first time you tossed it. Now, second time now, you toss second time, you're going to get either head or what? Tail. Again, second time again, you're going to get either head or a tail. Now you do, if for example you say a coin is tossed just 2 times, so you stop here. This is first, this is second. But now I say 3 times. So we're going to go one more step again now. Toast again now. You're going to get either head or tail. You're going to get again either head or tail. Go again either head or tail. Go again either head or tail. So these are the what? All the possible what? Outcome. Now what do we do next? We now have to bring all this out. So for the first one, now this one, head, head, head. That's when it is tossed 3 times. You can get what? Either the first time you can get what? Head, head, head. That means the first time you toss, you get head. You toss second time, you get head. You toss third time again, you get what? Head. That is the meaning of this. Head, head, head. So bring it out. So this head, head, head. Next one, now you can get either head, head, tail. Head, head, tail. Or you can get head, tail, head. You can get head, tail, head. Or you can get head, tail, tail. Head, tail, tail. Or you can get tail, head, head. Tail, head, head. Or you can get tail, head, tail. Tail, head, tail. Or you can get tail, tail, head. Tail, tail, head. Or you can get tail, tail, tail. Tail, tail, tail. That is it. So these are all the possible what? Outcome when a coin is what? It tossed what? 3 times. So what is the total outcome? What is the total outcome? The total outcome here is that what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So our total outcome or number of sample space is what? Is 8. Total outcome, can say number. Let me use number of samples. We'll be using that word since number of what? Sample space. Remember this one, number of sample space is the same thing as what? It's the same thing as what? Total outcome is what? Is 8. So our number of total number of sample space is what? Is 8, or it's called total outcome. Okay, total outcome. Now someone will be wondering, how do we get 8? How do we get 8? All this you are seeing here, all this information you are seeing here, they are all what? Half, half, half. Okay, 1/2. Each of the step, like from here to here, 1/2, 1/2, 1/2, 1/2, 1/2, 1/2. This is what? 1/2, 1/2, 1/2, 1/2, 1/2. I do not want to bore us with all these details, okay? I don't want to bore you with that. But you should just know what this 1/2 stands for. You know, the sample space when it is rolled once, at this level, the sample space here will be what? Will be 2. That means total outcome, because you're going to get either head or a tail. So if you are going to get a probability of getting a tail, if the coin is just rolled once, it's what? 1/2. Number of expected event over what? Number of sample space. Now at the second level, the whole sample space you'll be getting here at the second level will be what? Will be 4. And then at the end here is going to be what? 8. You look at them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, what? 8. And each of them is what? Is half, half, half. Okay, that is exactly what you are seeing there. Now let's solve the question now. I told you all this, you don't need to bother yourself with this, but I'll still show you the relevance of all this. Okay, what it simply means that each of these you are seeing is 1/2, 1/2, 1/2, 1/2, 1/2. Each of them is just 1/. That is what all this means. Okay, don't worry about it. So now let's go down to the questions now. We're going to say that find the probability of getting 2 tails and 1 head. 2 tails and 1 head. Now I'm going to be doing this in 2 ways. I'm going to be doing this in 2 ways so that you understand it better. Now let's answer this question now. Probability of, let's take the first one now, A. Let me use let me use the green in A now. Now probability of 2 tail and 1 head. Probability of 2 tail and 1 head is equal to what? Number of events over what? Number of sample space. Okay, probability of getting 2 tail and 1 head. Now let's go back to the question now. You look at all this sample space now. Now follow me now. The question is the probability of 2 tail and a head. That means 2 tail and a head. Now let's look at this. 2 tail, no. 2 tail and a head, 1. 2 tail and a head, 2. 2 tail and a head, 3. So the number of possible possible expected outcome, okay? The number of expected outcome that is below. The number of expected outcome is what? Is 3. And number of sample space, that is the total outcome, is what? Is 8. That is the answer. So the probability of 2 tail and 1 head is what? 3/8. Just go back to this. As long as you have written this out, it will be very easy for you to answer any question that ensues from the question. Do you understand? Whatever that is required, once you do this first. So what is the key? Always write this out. Okay, bring this out, because with this information, you can do anything at all that is required. Now, this is something else again. If you look at them, we said 2 tail, we have 1 here, 2 tail and a head. Look at this. I'm going to do something. I'm going to clean it off. 2 tail, probability of 2 tail and a head. We have what? Head, tail, tail. We have head, tail, tail. We have tail, head, head. Okay. Plus tail, head, tail. Plus tail, tail, head. Tail, tail, head. Now look at all this information you are seeing. Remember I told that each of them, like probability for just this first one, is what? 1/2. So this is what? Times 1/2. This times what? Times 1/2. Okay? Plus this is what? 1/2 plus 1/2. This is times, so times 1/2 times 1/2. Each of this 1/2 is for this tail, 1/2 is for the head, 1/2 is for the tail. Plus, look at this one now. 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/2. Now let's solve all this together now. Now let's look at this. 1 times 1 times 1 is what? Is 1. Over 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is what? Is 8. Plus 1 times 1 times 1 is what? Is 1 over 2 times 2 times 2 is what? Is 8. Plus 1 times 1 times 1 is what? Is 1. Over 2 times 2 times 2 is what? Is 8. Now let's add all this together. The LCM of all this is what? Is 8. This divided by this is 1. 1 times 1 is 1. Plus this divided by this is 1. 1 times 1 is what? Is 1. This divided by this is 1. 1 times 1 is what? Is 1. That is equal to 1 plus 1 plus 1 is equal to what? 3 over 8. And that is our answer there. So that is exactly what I'm talking about. Instead of doing all this, just go straight to the question, you get the answer. Do you understand? As long as you've been able to write all this out, you can easily do what? Without boring yourself with all this detail to arrive at the answer, you can just what? Count it and then bring it out and then you get your answer like that. Very simple. It's not difficult at all. I hope that is clear. So please take note of this. This, as much as this is important, is good. You also do what? Know the shortcuts to it. Okay? Know the shortcut to answering questions relating to what? Coins like this. But this is also what? Important if it is required. But if you are taking an exam that maybe is you are time conscious, okay, you don't have time, please remember the shortcut. Okay? But if maybe in exam you want to bring out all your details, then this is it. Okay? This is very also what? Important. For the remaining questions, I'm not going to be doing this, but on your own, you can try to check them. Remember, each of them is what? 1 over 2. That is why I wrote them. That is what I did. That is why I did this. 1 over 2. 1 over 2. 1 over 2. Is that clear? So I'm cleaning this off now. We'll now take the B part of the question now. Let's take the B now. The B now says, all head, probability that all are what? Are head is equals to what? Number of events over what? Number of sample space. Now let's go back to this. Probability that everything is head. Head, head, head. Do you have anything like that here again? No. So that means it's only what? 1. That is what? 1 over sample space is what? 8. The answer is what? 1 over 8. Again, how do you get this? It's very simple. All head is the same thing as saying that is a head, head, head. That is mean of all head. 1 over 2 times 1 over 2 times 1 over 2. 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 2, 4 times 2, 8. So that is it. Probability of what? All head. So if you don't want to waste your time, you can just go straight. Look at the question, you get your answer. Now let's look at C now. Probability of at least 1 tail. That means at least there must be 1 tail. That means there should be at least 2 tail. 3 tail is allowed, but at least if it's too small, there must be 1 tail. So probability of at least 1 tail is equals to what? Number of events over what? Number of sample space. Now let's go back to this again. Start from the beginning. At least there must be 1 tail. We have 1 tail here. 1, 2, at least 1 tail. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that is equals to what? 7 over 8. Do you have anything in common? That is what? That is the answer. So by the time you also do what? You multiply all this. That I say 1 over 2 times 1 over 2 times 1 over 2 plus 1 over 2 times 1 over 2 times 1 over 2 plus. Just like that, you get your answer. You still arrive at this 7 over 8. Very simple, not difficult. Now let's take D now. First 2 tails and the 3rd head. So probability of first 2 must be tail and the 3rd will be what? Head, number of events over what? Number of sample space. That means that the first 2 must be tail and then the 3rd one will be head. So let's look at it. First 2 head, first 2 must be tail, first 2 must be tail and the 3rd head. This is it. First 2 are tail and the last one is what? Is head. That's how many? We just have only 1 in this. 1. So the answer is what? 1 over 8. Number of sample space, that total outcome is still what? 8. The number of what? Expected outcome. Okay. expected outcome is what? Is just what? 1. Again, how do you get 1 over 8? Remember, this is 1 over 2 times 1 over 2 times 1 over 2. When you multiply that, you still arrive at this. You can actually check them out on your own. They are not difficult. It's actually very, very simple. Now, let's look at the last one, E now. Probability that all tail, that means everything is tail. Probability of all tail is equal to what? Number of events over what? Number of sample space. Now, let's look at it. Everything must be tail. Everything must be tail. You haven't heard here. Everything must be tail. This is it. Tail, tail, tail. All tail. That is what they're asking for. So how many is it? It's just 1. So that is equals to what? 1 over 8. And that is our answer. So again, you remember this is saying 1 over 2 times 1 over 2 times 1 over 2. Okay? So when you multiply that, you get what? 1 over 8. It's not difficult at all. It's very simple. Again, someone want to ask, well, why are you saying 1 over 2? Remember, I said from the beginning, when a coin is tossed once, the sample space is just what? Is 2. Why is it 2? Because you are going to get either head or tail. Either head or tail. That is what? 1, 2. So if the question says that what is probability of getting a head? Probability of getting a head is just what? 1. That is a number of events over number of sample space. That is what? 1 over 2. Do you understand? So that's why I did this. Please don't forget. Don't forget. So this is for the first time it was tossed. This line is what? The second time it was tossed. And then this is what? The third time that it was what? Tossed. If, for instance, the question went ahead and said that a coin is tossed 4 times. So what do? We extend this. We take the 4 leg now. Okay? And then at the end of the day, you bring them out like this. I'll show you. You still get your answer. This is actually very, very simple. But I tell you, it will be simple to you if and only if you practice. Remember, the key in mathematics is what? Practice. Practice regularly, and I tell you, no time, you will come to agree with me that mathematics is actually one of the simplest subjects of all. And probability is actually very simple, and you will enjoy it if and only if you practice. And how will you practice? Copy this question out, watch this video over and over again, and try to solve this question on your own. I must tell you, watch out for the next video again, as we'll be answering another type of question now under probability. And then let me tell you something. If at any point in time you face any challenge in answering question under probability, feel free to get in touch with me. I can assure you that I'll be readily available to explain anything to you want in mathematics. Once again, thank you so much for listening. Joshua Okwuwe Online Math. Bye-bye for now.